Welcome to the APL Spotlight Series. Incredible guests the world over with amazing experiences to share. Oftentimes, it could be a near-death experience, out-of-body, shared death experience, or just learning traditional indigenous healing techniques, and they're sharing it with us. We had one guy who's, I think, 40 countries in 30 years, and he is phenomenal, Dr. Jonathan Ellerby. Hear about his encounter with the jaguar spirit in the Amazon jungle. I think that was in January of 2025, just maybe about 10 episodes ago on the Angels Positivity and Love show, our main show. This is an offshoot for the super fun guests. And coming to us today from Los Angeles is an amazing writer, filmmaker, photographer, artist, painter. I'd say mankind sort of student of mankind, philosopher. But I think the most important thing I can say about Bravo Valenti is thank you, I love you. The most amazing philosophy, the most amazing heart-centered, Zen-centric sort of love experience you can have. He says, thank you, I love you to everyone. Welcome back, Bravo. Great to see you again.
Thank you. I love you for having me on.
I love your energy. I love your vibe. I love what you do for folks. People can check out your other appearances here, and you're going to be back taping again in the fall for 2026. Can't wait to do that as well. Bravo, what's been up lately? But talk to us a little bit too about gratitude, attitude, and compassion.
Well, gratitude is an attitude. It's something that you have to develop. Gratitude is not something that we are necessarily born with. Although I think there is a type of innate gratitude. Uh, Dogs are incredibly grateful, and they always show their gratitude. And children have an innate gratitude as well. When they're fed, when they're loved, they show appreciation. But gratitude is actually something as an adult that you actually have to cultivate. You have to develop. And there are a lot of people who think that they have gratitude and actually have problems with gratitude. Realize it. Um, for example, it's very easy to be grateful for all of the great things in life and or in your life. And it's quite common for people to say, "No, I'm a very grateful person. I'm grateful that I have wonderful children. I'm grateful that I have a nice home. I'm grateful that I have a good job or whatever." Well, it's easy to be grateful for those things, right? We okay. Are you grateful for everything? Are you grateful for the bad things that happen? Now, you might ask yourself, well, why would I be grateful for something bad happening to me? It's a tough question. It's a very tough thing to wrap your head around. We, well, let me give you an example. Among the people that we most admire in the world are great actors and actresses, right? Hollywood stars. And we admire them because they are capable of recreating other people, people other than themselves. And we watch in awe as they recreate experiences that are very often horrific. Meryl Streep plays a concentration camp victim in Sophie's Choice, or, you know, Tom Cruise gets killed in countless movies, right? And has to, play the part of someone being tortured or killed. And we sit there in awe that they can do this. Now, if you think about it, why would you want to experience these horrific things as an actor? Why wouldn't you just want to have a good time? Why wouldn't you just do comedies or musicals? Why would you want to put yourself through, these torturous experiences? So actors and actresses are really learning gratitude for experiences that they themselves don't get to have in their own lives. They get to live in somebody else's shoes, and they get to experience and actually be grateful for having that experience, for being chosen to sort of suffer in a part that you and I would say, well, I don't want to play a concentration camp victim. I don't want to have to pretend that somebody just shot me and I'm in horrific pain. Yet the actor or the actress does this really as a way of learning empathy, of learning what it is to have another human experience other than the experience that they were born into. Now, when you have an experience in your life that you don't like, that you would rather not have had, you're really not being grateful. You're not being grateful that you got to experience this. Now, that actor or actress, they're actually grateful that they got to experience that. And we have to learn to be grateful for every single experience that we have, no matter how negative. So, say, for example, you have a situation where you're not talking with your kid. Your kid is on the outs with you, and you're literally upset, and you're telling people, my life is terrible. My own child doesn't talk to me, or whatever. Instead of saying, "Thank you, I love you," to your child for not talking to me and for teaching me how to handle this experience, how to learn and grow in a way that I never thought I'd be challenged to do. So every single thing that happens to you, no matter how positive, how negative, is your opportunity to become more of a human being. It's your opportunity to learn, it's your opportunity to grow, it's your opportunity to have empathy for people who go through the thing that you never wanted to go through. So, there was a guy I knew many, many years ago who had his, I think it was his brother, ran over his legs with his car. And he lost the use of his legs. And while he was in the hospital, the doctors told him that he would never be able to skateboard again. And he was a skateboarder, and they had to amputate his legs. And he actually was thankful. He actually was thankful that his legs were amputated because he said, I'm going to have the opportunity to be one of the greatest skateboarders in the world with no legs. I'm going to be able to skateboard with no legs. The doctor said to him, no, you don't understand. You're not going to be able to skateboard. And he said, no, you don't understand. I'm going to be the first skateboarder with prosthetic legs. And Tony Hawk, the great skateboarder, Tony Hawk, skateboarded with him and didn't even realize that he had prosthetic legs. Right? And he was thankful for the opportunity to become that unique skateboarder. So you have to learn how to embrace every single thing in your life with gratitude. And when you do, you will find that magical things begin to happen to you. When you approach everything with gratitude, the energy in your life changes. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. I mean, because gratitude is such a positive thing, but you will be shocked. You will literally be shocked at the things that will happen. And I'm telling you this because I was not someone who really practiced gratitude. I mean, I thought of myself as a grateful person, but I wasn't consciously practicing gratitude. When I began consciously practicing gratitude, things began happening in my life that in a million years, literally miracles.
Is that so?
It is. It really
That's
is.
the Zen. Remember the Zen-centric thing? I'm grabbing a pen.
And
The,
I was given a technique. As you know, in my book, I talk about an experience that I had, a psychedelic experience, in which I was given a technique that anyone can use in order to get on a path of practicing gratitude. And that is to use the expression, thank you, I love you. And use this expression as frequently and as often as you can, in ways that make sense. And you could even use it sarcastically. For example, somebody screamed at you in traffic, road rage, right? Instead of yelling something horrific back at them, simply say, Thank you. Thank you. I love you for saying that to me. Thank you. I love you, very sarcastically. Thank you. I really love you, man, for doing that. You know, you'll be shocked at what will happen when you start using thank you. I love you.
So everything's unfolding in a divinely or a perfect way, whether we know it or not. And often it's the hindsight is 50-50 and stuff like that. You look back at something from 20 years ago, it'll make a lot more sense, a lot easier then. But there's the whole Zen philosophy thing where they do that. Is that so? You just got the news that there's all the examples of like a Buddhist teacher hears a knock at the door, and the two parents show up, and they've got their teenage daughter and her newborn baby. She picked him as the father, so they hand him the baby. He says, "Is that so?" Takes the baby, takes care of it for 6 months until the daughter tells the parents who the real dad was. So they knock on the door again. They're like, "We want the baby back." He says, "Is that so?" Hands it back. It's the story of the son who breaks his legs off of a horse, and everybody commiserates with the family. He broke his legs. But then there's a draft for the army, and he can't be drafted with the broken legs. And everybody who goes off to war gets killed. So it's that whole, is that so? It's a classic Zen thing. I'm still working on the processing that one, but it's exactly what you're saying. Whether you know it or not, everything is always working in your favor. It takes a little bit of faith,
Exactly.
trust. Yeah, and whether it's religious faith or non-religious faith, can you talk to us about faith or the letting go of knowing that precludes possibility to embrace a broader knowing? What is that all about?
Well, for me, the broader knowing is what you just touched upon, which is that everything that happens, when you accept it, when you're grateful for it, it will lead you to where you really should be going. That's the miracle. It's it's not that, you lose your job. You're fired from your job. You get angry. As opposed to, I'm really thankful. I'm really grateful that I lost this job. It opens up some sort of new opportunity, and I don't know what that opportunity is. I have no idea, but I'm grateful that life has thrown me this curveball because there's obviously some great new opportunity that I wasn't aware of, right? Now, if you act from the opposite direction, which is this is horrible, I lost my job, this is the worst thing that could have happened to me, you have literally already defined it as the worst thing that could have happened to you. So it is the worst thing that could have happened to you. And you have now closed yourself off from this opportunity that apparently was trying to find you, right? So the faith comes in you trusting that if you lost your job, it was because there was another opportunity that was trying to find you. So having faith that bad things may be happening for a good reason, right? And having the faith in a divine plan for your life that you look, we have free will. We're in a position to make decisions all day, every day. Do I want to eat? Do I not want to eat? Do I want to stay home? Do I want to go out? Do I want to make friends with this person? Do I not want to? We have to make those decisions all day long. We have free will. But every time we exercise our free will, we are interacting with a divine plan. And if you don't think that there's a divine plan, if you think that everything is your free will, so it's sort of an oxymoron or a conundrum, so to speak. It's almost like two opposites, right? That on the one hand, you have free will. On the other hand, there's a divine plan. Well, which one is it, right? Well, what I'm saying is that we're in a dialogue with our divine plan. And our divine plan is actually hinting to us what our free will choice should be. And so when you lose the job, for example, the divine plan is saying to you, hey, there's other opportunities out there. But you can exercise the free will. You have the right to say, this is horrible. I don't, I'm just going to go in my room and get depressed. I lost my job. This is terrible. My life is over. I can't pay my bills. You've chosen that path. But the divine plan was telling you which path to choose. It was giving you a hint. It was saying, time for that job to go. We got something else in store for you in the divine plan, right? But you're refusing to accept the divine plan. So that's free will. So you really have to learn. And that's why we talk about synchronicities. Synchronicities are the language of the universe, they're the language of the divine plan. Your ability to see synchronicities, recognize them, will increase your alignment with your divine plan.
Sounds like another book coming out of you soon, with alignment and the divine plan and the rest. You're reminding me of a guest on this show from maybe the first year or so, Lisa Jones out of Maui. And while she's in the divine healing business today, she used to have a respectable daytime West Coast job, maybe LA, had a radio show, was a host, but I think she was an accountant or something like that. It wasn't one of the big six firms. It was more of a private, medium, small sized firm. She was doing well, about to get promoted. The universe stepped in. Her intuition was saying she needed to leave the job. She was like, no, 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 I'm doing great. Raise whatever else. You can listen to the show and get the real details. But she kind of resisted it until finally the universe was like, you got to leave the job. And she left the job. Well, it got federally raided and the whole firm ended up shutting down within like 3 weeks. So she would have lost her job anyhow. And it just reminded me of exactly what you said. The universe is trying to always communicate something to you. Are you willing to listen?
Always. You miss a flight and you're upset that you missed the flight.
Yep.
You have no idea what would have happened had you gotten on that flight. Maybe you were going to sit next to the most obnoxious person that you've ever sat next to on an airplane, and it's a long flight and you're going to be miserable. Maybe the plane was going to have a problem. Maybe that flight was going to get grounded and you were going to be stuck at the airport for 8 hours. You have no idea. So what are you upset about that you missed that flight? You just accept the fact that you missed that flight and try to get another flight, right?
We had a
It's that
guest
simple.
that we
But
had a
people
guest.
actually,
Yeah, we had a guest that could not make that flight, and I think it crashed, and it was either Beth Greer or someone else. So we have a guest who literally got stopped from being on the flight. Was a little upset about it, but then the rest happened. So I'm
right
blank.
now, I mean, on the one hand, it's common sense. You say to yourself, well, but wait a second, I have a meeting I have to get to. It's normal for me to be upset. But that's you playing God, so to speak. That's you deciding that you know what's going to happen when you get on that flight. You know. How do you know? You don't know, right? So you also don't know if you miss that flight, what's going to happen. You miss that flight, maybe there's something really phenomenal that's going to happen that you would have missed had you gotten on that flight. So you have to be grateful again by being grateful for missing that flight, not just accepting, not just saying, all right, I missed that flight, but actually saying, you know what? Thank you for having me miss that flight. I'm sure there's some reason or something that by missing that flight is going to work out. So I'm good with it. Thank you. I'm very grateful.
Well, you're leading us into the next question, which is three things you're allowing for more each week. Weekly, what are the three things you're at least trying to allow for more weekly?
Well, one of them is right in line with what we're talking about. And I use the example of when you have a lack of communication with, say, your own child. I have this problem right now. I have an estrangement problem with a grown child, and my grown son, and we were very close, and we lived together for 10 years here in California. But he had gone through a trauma. We had both gone through a trauma that I write about in my book. It's the trauma that talks about in the forward to my book, and it was a terrible family tragedy, and I think my son just needs the space. I think he just feels that he might need some space now to process things that he wasn't really able to process at the time because he had to jump into going to college. And uh, then after that, he jumped into certain career things. And I think he maybe just feels the need to kind of just cut me out and go off on his own and figure things out. Now, every week, I have to reinforce the practice of literally saying to myself, thank you, I love you for giving me this opportunity to learn how to accept that my son needs to do this. And thank you, I love you for teaching me and letting me learn not to worry. And worry is the second thing that is connected, that's a practice also, that you have to learn how to practice not worrying. And by not worrying, I don't mean there's two types of worry. There's healthy worry and unhealthy worry. So unhealthy worry, if somebody invited you to go climb Mount Everest and you're not a hiker, you're not a mountain climber, you should worry. You should say, gee, I'm really worried about accepting this invitation. I'm not a skilled hiker. It's a treacherous climb. I've never gone that many days up a mountain. I don't know if I could really handle this. Well, that's worrying, meaning analyzing a situation and making a decision about it. But worrying, like for example, if I sat around all day saying, "Oh wow, I really am worried about my son. I haven't heard from him. I hope he's okay. I don't know if he's okay. I'm really worried if he's ever going to talk to me again." Well, how does that make his life better? And how does that make my life better? It makes my life terrible and it does nothing for him. And it doesn't allow to analyze the situation and take an action. So it's literally neurotic worry. It's just more blockage, like lack of gratitude. So worry, right up there with lack of gratitude, is blocking the positive energy and the divine plan, because there is a divine plan with my son, and I have to wait for that plan to play out. I have to wait to see how the universe is going to solve that problem, because I'm not in a position to solve it. I don't even know how to contact him. So, I text him, I have his phone number, but if he doesn't reply, he doesn't reply. I have to just accept that, right? I can't worry. Oh, another day went by. He doesn't, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Oh, does that do anything for him? No. Does it do anything for me? No. So, right. So we have to really learn how to develop these skills. These are emotional IQ. This is your emotional IQ we're talking about, right?
How about a couple of more things each week? And then I'm going to light some sage in a second. What else are you allowing for?
Well, trying as hard as possible to allow myself to be more disciplined as a writer, because I'm extremely prolific when it comes to painting and drawing. I don't need any encouragement. I could paint and draw all day long. But when it comes to writing, it takes real muscle. It takes real effort to make myself write. And I'm not a big fan of a famous thing that Stephen King, I believe. I think it's Stephen King.
10 pages a day.
Yeah, famous for, you got to write 10 pages a day, or what is writing? Sitting in a chair in front of a typewriter or a computer and writing. I don't agree with that. I literally am more along the lines of somebody like David Lynch, the filmmaker who just passed away, actually. Um, David Lynch said that he spends the better part of his day daydreaming.
Hmm.
And I've found very often that while daydreaming, uh, while out doing, I'll give you just one quick example. I was out having an espresso coffee one time, and I was mad at myself. I was like, I should be, like Stephen King says, I should be in front of that computer writing right now. I should be typing away. And at the time, I was working on a screenplay. And here I was having my espresso coffee, supposedly goofing off. And I'm saying to myself, bravo, you're not a real writer. You're a goof off. And then there was a young lady working at the bar, at the espresso bar. And she was the exact age and way I had pictured the main character of my screenplay. And it was the first time that I really had a visual of somebody who I could look at and actually say, that could be if she were an actress, she could play this character. And that's when I realized that she kind of looked a little bit like David Bowie. And so I said to myself, wait a second, what if my main character was a David Bowie fan? And I came up with this whole tie-in with David Bowie and my character. And it was literally like the best thing I came up with in the screenplay. It was like, it became a major set piece within the screenplay, this connection between my main character and David Bowie. Would have never happened if I was sitting up right at the computer typing. So just by being out, freeing up my mind, right, observing the world around me, daydreaming, I actually ended up writing a tremendous amount of the screenplay that day. Right? So there's different ways, and maybe for some people, maybe for Stephen King, it works better to sit and just stare at that screen and hit the keyboard. But you have to find your own way. You have to find, nobody has ever lived your life. And that is something my son actually taught me. That's an expression my son actually is a very wise kid. And he actually said to me, he said, Dad, nobody has ever lived your life. And we actually think that other people have lived our lives. We think that, oh, I'm a writer, he's a writer, we have this. Doesn't mean that he's a writer the way you're a writer, right? People think that, a black person meets a black person, and they think that, that in common, or a Jewish person meets a Jewish person. Oh, you're Jewish, I'm Jewish. I understand you, you understand me. Not necessarily. You don't, you might have certain things in common. You may have some common language. You may have some common experiences. I'm not saying we have nothing in common. We do, right? But nobody has ever lived your life.
Always. I'll add that. Okay, I'm going to light some sage, catch sage smoke, but allow for something extra from the universe. And who knows, even allow for 2 pages a day at 6 a.m. Stephen King mini style. Here we go. Some people might taste this, catch it. It's just a little bit of sage. You can catch it through 2 screens if you're just checking in the first time. Most guests do this. Once in a while, I forget to do this at all. I got a few guests that there's just no way, Jose, we're not going to do this on the show. But Bravo is very adventurous. He's an artist, again, filmmaker, writer, painter, you name it. Modern day philosopher, if you ask me. Societal commentary is definitely his shtick. Okay.
Well, that's for sure. I'm definitely a social commentator.
Catch the sage. Let me know when you get it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how you do it, but you actually are capable of blowing sage from one state to another.
Blame angels for it, but ask Joy, an angel, for an extra smell, something that you just are like, that's not the sage. Are you getting blueberries? Are you getting
Asparagus.
asparagus? I didn't do it. And don't get hungry on me. Okay. Now, what's one thing that you had to let go of in the last year to do your own growth and expansion? What's one thing you had to let go of?
I had to let go of expectation. I had expected certain things to happen, and they were so clearly going to happen, but they didn't happen. I had an art show that was supposed to take place in a private lounge that a couple of $1 million was spent building. I was there when they were building it. They were almost finished. It was done. The art show was supposed to take place within a couple of weeks, they ended up not opening. They ended up deciding not to open their venue. Um, I have found that having expectation is, it's kind of a waste of time. Just really be excited about things and be prepared for them, but don't really expect them to happen. Don't feel the need that because you think something's going to happen, that it has to happen. And if it doesn't happen, that something went wrong. Because in addition to certain things that I expected not happening, several things that I completely did not expect to happen did happen.
I'm going to put an angel up for you. What does Charlotte say about all that? Just hear concretely, directly from her. What does an angel say, weighing in on expectations? What is her reminder for us all?
Hmm. Tell me, Charlotte.
And you're a medium as well, I should add. So you're totally intuitive. What are you getting from Charlotte?
Well, Charlotte's telling me the only thing you can really expect is that if you let go of worry, pay attention to synchronicities, and have gratitude, that the divine plan will unfold the way it should.
I love it. I'm going to put up Joy and do the same thing. What is her reminder for us all? But get a lot of sparkly warmth here and say, got it when you got it. Get an amazing sparkly warmth on your chest. I'm going to blow a little into the microphone that today is above the laptop. Hit you a little Hawaii in the air if you want. I'll do it again. What are you getting, Bravo? In LA, Los Angeles, the city of angels. What are you getting?
It is actually a city of angels. It's a Los Angeles. I'm convinced that the Spanish named it the City of Angels because they felt something very unique here. It is a bizarre city in many ways, but it's a City of Angels.
And did you feel a little energy come through?
I felt a lot. I actually felt the reason why I mentioned that it is a city of angels this way is that I felt a lot of angelic energy.
And then what's Joy have as a beautiful reminder for us all so we can walk a smoother path, have more fun, live long and prosper, as they say on Star Trek.
I think joy is reminding me that I've been blessed with a type of my entire life. I've been blessed with a overall optimistic, positive, happy attitude. In fact, it was very interesting because I know some people who suffer from depression, from clinical depression. And I never understood because I've never really been, I mean, I've been sad, get really sad, something happens, someone passes away or whatever, or you get depressed. But there's a difference between depression and being depressed, right? Depression meaning you, when we talk about clinical depression, what we're really talking about is an overwhelming feeling of depression that has no explanation, that is not caused by a specific incident, right? If you are depressed because somebody that you care about is not communicating with you, there's a reason why you're depressed. But people who suffer from depression literally don't know why they're depressed. They wake up and they're depressed and they don't know why. So I only experienced this twice in my whole life. And it was very late in life, like a couple of years ago, where I had 2 days where I did not know why I was depressed. And I was actually thankful that I had that experience because for the first time, I was able to literally feel what it means. I was able to empathize with people who suffer from clinical depression. I was never able to empathize. I was always like, what are you so depressed about? You just got a new car. What are you depressed about? Right. And they're just depressed. They don't understand why. So to answer your question, I began to realize that this blessing of generally being an overall happy person, an overall optimistic person, an upbeat person is something that has allowed me to make it through many crises that I think other people might have handled differently. And that my ability to be this grateful or to be this worry free was not always part of my optimism and happiness. The gratitude and the worry free were not always the same. They were not always integrated into the happiness and the optimism. So I think that now, having joined these together, that it's like a superpower. And that when you can master these things and bring them together, it is truly a superpower. And that is the extra thing that I think right now is moving me along.
I'm bringing in an angel named Min, who's light waves of energy and water. If you want to think of her as the ocean or Mother Hawaii, fantastic. Catch a little Hawaii in the air. You may see the photo move as I blow a little. Catch a little Hawaii. And what does she have as a reminder that ties into what you were just saying for us all?
Well, I think that places like Hawaii, I've never been to Hawaii, believe it or not. I've never been there. And, but I've been to places that I think are a little bit reminiscent of Hawaii. And there's sort of a worry-free type of culture that exists in places like Hawaii. And I think it comes from being in such direct contact with nature. I think one of the biggest problems in modern life, I think that so much of the anxiety and the worrying and the lack of gratitude is the result of people living in a very prefabricated, very corporatized type of an environment and not feeling a daily connection to nature. The young people today are notoriously having way less contact with nature in general. Obviously, there are young people that go hiking and go camping and all of that, but it's been studied that young people today are very often not having any contact with nature. So I would say that if you want to develop gratitude and you want to develop a worry-free attitude and you want to develop a optimistic attitude and you want to put all of those things together in your own life, that a lot of it will happen if you increase your contact with nature. There's a symbiotic relationship or a biological relationship, a evolutionary relationship between us and the natural world that has been decreasing as the world modernizes. And it really behooves us to find ways on a regular basis to reconnect with the natural world, because the natural world will actually teach you gratitude. It will actually remind you. It will actually release you from worry. It's the antidote to what was that? I think that was the slogan of Club Med or something, right? The antidote to civilization, right?
And I think you're a psychic as well because the next angel is all about nature. Her name is Mac. Don't call her Mackenzie. She's everything plants, animals, and nature.
That's wild. No, that's wild. That I said, and I had no idea, folks. Honestly, I had no
I
idea.
put
This was
that
not
card up
planned.
there before you went that way. I didn't know
Yeah,
you
that
went
was
that
not
way.
planned. No, not at
But
all.
catch some nature. It could be deep amounts of forest or mountain air. I'm going to blow one more time, but You can just put a hand out and start to catch an energy that's unlike any other so far. You can do it off camera. Catch something so unique, it might remind you of two counties away, two states away, two countries away. It might be a different type of topical setup. What are you getting now, Bravo?
Well, it's hard for me not to think about. I'm sort of programmed right now to think about uh, a um, a very special place that I'm developing uh,
Brazil.
in South America. Yeah, it is the most natural. It's it for in my life. It's the place where I'm most in touch with nature. So it's hard for me not to think about that. And it's a really magical place, and it's 20 acres on a river that is in an ecotourism zone. So there's no tall buildings, there's no freeways, there's no billboards, there's no fast food franchises, and it's just such a special place that when you ask me what was I thinking, it's hard for me not to think of that place. So that's where my mind went right away.
So go ahead and share with us, how does time slow down there? But let Mac add something, how we can all get to our hearts and enjoy the perceived slowing of time. The only way I know how to do this is everyone's been in a class, high school, college, masters, whatever. If the professor's really bad, that 1 hour class can feel like 3 hours. It's never going to end. You might accidentally see auras, which we'll do next, on the backs of the heads of the students in front of you, a row or two down. As you tune out, is actually when you go here. So obstacles become opportunities for growth. You see auras. But if the professor's really good, the hour can go by in 15 minutes and you're like, oh, where did the time go? Or it's like a vacation. But the same place, every year you go to the Bahamas for 3 weeks. The first time you go, it feels like a week. You're already getting back on the plane. 2 years later, the 3 weeks feels like a whole summer. The time went slow. Ask her about that being in your heart, and what does she have as a reminder for us all?
Well, I think what she wants me to share is that we live in a myth as in our modern society where we think that the faster we move, the more we accomplish, and that the faster we move, the more time we have. So let me give you an example of how that's not true. For example, people that eat fast foods, people who are constantly on a regular basis eating in fast food establishments, they never have time to eat. But if they're eating fast foods, theoretically, they would have more time to eat. But they're always in a rush to eat and always in a rush to get back to work and always in a rush to go pick up their kids and always in a rush to do this and a rush to do that. But they theoretically are eating fast foods in order to be able to have more time. Now, if you go to Italy, where people take a very long time to sit down and have lunch, lunch is a whole ordeal. And right, yet they have all the time in the world to eat. They have no shortage of time. So by eating slowly, they actually have more time than people who are eating quickly.
I love it. I've got another exercise for you. It's allowing light. My light, I'll show my light. You don't have to show yours. You'll just see colors between my fingers. It'll be consciousness, auras. It's like out of the movie Celestine Prophecy, but as one guest said, who was around in the 70s as a healer, hey, we were doing this 20 years before the movie did it. And in India, they do it this way. So you see a little bit of light, you get another dad joke, which we were doing off air before the show started. So that'll be the most important thing. If you're laughing, you're letting go. I'll do the hospital joke. But once you see the light, say the colors that you see, and then ask, all these angels plus your crew plus Elvis is coming up next. Ask these guys to kick in extra special effects, sparks, light, geometric patterns. Somebody got a running buffalo once. Two people got phoenixes. Could be a flower. It could be something else, a hummingbird in between. Let the light go bigger. More importantly, here comes the dad joke. Where in a hospital? Where in a hospital is the worst place to play hide and seek? Where? In the ICU.
Oh boy.
And that's where an attitude of gratitude will get you laughing every time. Okay, here's a little bit of light, my light. Just say what you see in just a second. What do you see flowing between my fingers? What color or colors?
I see green.
I didn't do it. Blame Mac. Don't color Mackenzie. Okay, ask everybody to turn up the volume, breathe more, and let the crew come in. Let Elvis be in the house.
Now it's going purplish blue.
Okay, now I'm going to go bigger and see if you get patterns, a design, a flower, or your next painting idea.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What are you seeing?
Well, I see people walking through a forest.
Okay, I didn't do that. And for the people at home, just reassure them that you're not making it up.
No, 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 no. I'm not making it up at all. I see I see numerous people walking through a forest, and I also see the face of a bearded, kind of like a bearded prophet, or uh, kind of a biblical type of character with a beard.
Okay, I'm going to get you Abe before we get to Elvis. Abe, the Abraham of old on everyone's team, fatherly figure. You could start smelling tobacco or pipe smell, a comforting fire. What's that? Fireplace smell or tobacco or pipe. He likes to come in. He's the opposite of a lot of angels who like to hand out fish. He teaches, no, sorry, they teach fishing, most of these angels, and they don't
Hmm.
hand out fish necessarily. He loves to hand out fish and doesn't teach fishing. He'll tell you he was kind of a jerk back in the old days. But here's Abe on everyone's team. And
Well, that's kind of the face that I saw in the. That's sort of the face that I saw in the when you were doing your finger.
I didn't do it. We didn't plan this, but there's Abe, Abraham of old, the Abraham. Catch a very deep insight about mankind, how to lighten up, let go of the ancient burden of self importance. What are you hearing? He's kind of like Gandalf or from Harry Potter. Uh, oh, the headmaster of the school, Dumbledore.
This is a very wise. I mean, this is a very wise man. I mean, you can see that this is someone who has a very specific purpose, and it's kind of fearless,
Now close your eyes. Have him.
very self-confident.
Yep, close your eyes. Have him come in. Give you a squeeze on the shoulder. Let us know the smell that you get. If it's a pipe smell, fireside, tobacco, breathe through your mouth more, and get a deep insight that you're allowed to share with the rest of us.
Well, when you said pipe smell, I people don't smoke pipes anymore, really, and I couldn't help but think of my dad because my dad was a big pipe smoker almost his entire life, and so as soon as you said pipe, it triggered my memories of these cherry tobaccos and really delicious tobaccos that he used to smoke, and I want to thank you for helping me.
Did you smell pipe?
Oh yeah, being able
Okay.
to smell again my father's pipe smoking, and he
Okay.
had a great pipe collection. He had a wonderful collection of pipes too.
What's Abe's mantra that he wants to share with you, but that he wants you to share with everybody then? And it may already jibe with the way you're rolling daily. What's the mantra, his reminder to everybody for all of us?
I think Abe's mantra is "To thine own self be true."
Beautiful. And I'm going to share something from 10 years ago. I was sitting with someone in a 24-hour diner. People who know downtown Austin, Texas will know it. It's right across from the Whole Foods headquarters on South Lamar or Lamar, whatever it is. And we had left the diner. The person had just met Jesus and Mary, and they come from a background where it's a really big deal. The SUV is not started yet. So she's behind the wheel. I'm in the passenger side. And a Hagrid figure, if you follow Harry Potter, the giant guy with dark hair, starts to go by in front of the car and he stops. And I somehow thought he put a hand on the hood and is looking. And I start tugging on the shoulder and I'm like, is that an angel? Is that an angel? Time went all weird. All I saw was the exterior, all the Starbucks cups under one of the arms. And I did not get an answer from angels. Everybody was like, not now, later. First time I'd never gotten an answer. I got told, wait. And I wouldn't take no for an answer till finally somebody said, yes, it was an angel. But by then they had left. I got out of the car. I ran to the street corner. They're gone. It was Abe. All we heard was Abe. It took 2 years to find out it was the Abraham of old. The other person didn't see the Starbucks cups. They're much more like deep intuitive, like most people. They saw in and they saw the most beautiful person, but he was in not a disguise. They can just do Hollywood wardrobe and come in any which way when they come as full human. The Starbucks, it was hot coffee. It was a 20-degree night. One January in Austin can be 70 degrees.
Oh,
Another
wow.
January in Austin can be 20 degrees. So it was super cold. He was on a beaming down mission to hand out cups of coffee to the homeless a couple blocks away, is what he said. Um, so hot coffee, somehow he was keeping it hot. And I got it one version. She got it another version. That was Abe. It took a couple of years, around 2013. Here's something about that night. He loves to pop down in human form. He's on everyone's team. Very grandfatherly, fatherly energy. Get something very special for you. But then one more reminder for us all that help is always 2 seconds away. What will you allow for?
Right, ask this question again.
Just what's he have as a reminder for us all? What are you hearing?
Beyond the to thine own self be true. No, beyond that.
Yeah.
Other than thine own self be true. I think his other words of advice would be. I think he's kind of an FDR sort of mentality of we have nothing to fear but fear itself.
I heard you can do it.
You can do it. That, well, to me, that's also nothing to fear but fear. You can do it, meaning there's nothing to be afraid of. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's fearless. I say this guy's fearless. Yeah,
All right.
you can do it. Right.
Last figure of this moment, and obviously this love having you on. So anytime you want to come back on, but we'll be taping in the fall of 2025 for a show that'll air in 2026. Give me a color, red, white, or blue today.
Red.
Okay, Elvis is back in the house. We were doing this before the show. So catch the king coming in, catch some music, catch something in the air, catch something that you know isn't
Oh,
part of the mind. It's from the heart.
wait, wait. When I said red, did you pick this because he's wearing red, or it's just coincidental that he's wearing red?
That's because I've got a red version of Elvis, a white version
Oh,
of
gotcha. Oh,
and
gotcha.
blue.
Okay, so I picked the red Elvis. Gotcha.
Now, what's Elvis have as a reminder for us all? But have the king give you a little squeeze on the shoulder so you're like, whoa.
Well, I think Elvis is reminding me that charisma is a very powerful tool that I personally should work on more. That he's reminding me that don't don't forget how important charisma is.
Hey, charisma is nothing but a 3-letter word. It's fun. Or it's a 4-letter word. It's love. And you're the like communicator of love. All right, we'll start to wrap this up. Talk to us a little bit more about thank you, I love you, but we're gonna bring in Elvis and maybe Abe and maybe Joy one more time. Let them have a little bingo competition. We'll see who won. There's Joy, there's Elvis. You remember Abe. What are they all saying about thank you, I love you?
Well, I mean, like I always like to say, Elvis was the master of "Thank you very much." Right? That was his famous line. That whenever someone does an Elvis impression, that's the line they use. "Thank you very much." But I think they all are master practitioners of gratitude and love. Uh, your Joy and Elvis and all of your angels, all angels are masters of gratitude and love. Um, you can't be an angel and not be a master of gratitude and love. The the thank you, I love you, which is it's the title to my book. And the reason why I made it the title to the book is because it was given to me as a mantra, it was originally described as a secret password to get back to a place of such magnificence. I had experienced such beauty, such grandeur, such a spectacle of love and color and sound uh, and then I was given this mantra of, although described as the secret password of thank you, I love you. And I talk about it in my book, but I made it the title of the book because I wanted people to learn it even if they didn't read the book. I wanted people to learn thank you, I love you without having to spend a penny, without having to read the book, without having to ask someone, what is this mantra this guy's talking about? It's, so if you order the book, if you talk about the book, if you listen to us talking about the book, you're learning the mantra. And it's thank you, I love you. And it's really that simple. When you are uh, in your everyday practice of speaking with people, of when you say thank you to somebody, and I love you. And, for men, this is very often a hard thing. There's certain men that have a problem, and there are women too, actually. There are mothers that don't tell their children, I love you. There are families where people don't say to each other, I love you, unfortunately, sadly. But get into the habit and don't be afraid of using I love you. And uh, it will change your life. I guarantee it. I have a cousin who suffers from extreme anxiety. She is one of the most wonderful people you ever met in your entire life. She had a phenomenal career as an educator. Uh, she was a principal of a school in New York that had greater ethnic diversity, I think, than any other school in the country. Had kids that spoke like 80 different languages, kids of every sexual orientation, of every IQ level, from severely learning disabled to genius. It was an extremely diverse school. And she created incredible programs, and she's an amazing human being. But she suffers from severe anxiety. And she's my age. And she kind of resigned herself to never being able to get over anxiety. And I told her, try using thank you, I love you when she read the book. And she's a voracious reader. So she read my book, and I was honored that she read it because she was had to finish 5 novels before she could get to my book. But she literally began using thank you, I love you. And within 2 weeks called me up and said, in fact, I'd asked her when she read the book, did you like the book? And she goes, oh, the book was great. And, I thought to myself, she's my cousin. She's telling me the book is great. She's being nice. Maybe she liked the book. Maybe she didn't like the book, or maybe she thought it was okay. But yeah, she's being supportive. But I knew that the book really had an impact on her when she called me 2 weeks later and said, Bravo, I've been using thank you, I love you. And I had my first 2 anxiety-free days in my life. So the results of using this mantra are beyond what you might think. It will lead to things that because I don't want to say, because what it will lead to for you may be completely different from what it led to for other people that have shared with me, like she did, what it did for her. You might not suffer from anxiety. It might help you with something else. So I just encourage everyone, begin using thank you, I love you as regularly as you can, and watch and call Michael or email Michael and tell him, I saw this guy on your show and I started using thank you, I love you. And I'm sure Michael will share with me, what people tell him.
Okay, Bravo. Last act here with Angels. I'm going to put Charlotte up. There's thank you, I love you as a beautiful phrase that connects the heart to all there is. what's the next phrase? You can keep it to yourself or you can share it out loud. If there was a part two, a secondary follow-up book, thank you, I love you. But what's the next phrase? Charlotte will give it to you. Don't have to say it out loud, but just say got it when you got it. Breathe extra, no triota.
You want
I'll do Yoda's voice for you for 1 second. Dude, there is no try. Okay, now, did you get the phrase?
I did.
You want to share it?
Absolutely.
What'd she say?
It's happening as we speak.
So whatever it is that you're thinking might happen, it's happening as we speak because the universe is in the process of delivering.
It's happening as we speak.
It's happening as we speak. That's pretty powerful. Maybe that'll be the next topic we talk about. Maybe we sneak you in this summer. Either way, Bravo Valenti, thank you for being on the APL Spotlight series. You're wonderful. You already know this. And thank you for sharing your talents.
Thank you. I love you, Michael, because you bring nothing but positive energy, joy, friendship, and an open heart to everybody and everything that crosses your path. And that is a blessing to the entire world.
Thank you again, Bravo. Great to see you.
I say thank you, I love you. Don't be one of these men that's afraid to say I love you. I think I got one of these guys here who's afraid to say I love you to
No,
another.
thank you. I love you. I even type that out all the time on your social media just to get you to laugh. So thank you, Bravo. I love you, Bravo. And I'll see you again soon here.
Got to teach all the men out there not to be afraid to say I love you, especially to their kids and to their wives, and wives to their kids and to their husbands and to their lovers, or of whatever orientation you are. Tell people that you love them, and tell them that you appreciate them by thanking them, and watch your life change.
And do it in the mirror. Like, say thank you,
Absolutely.
I love you to yourself. But if you can do it
Absolutely.
200 times and you're going to never need a psychoanalyst again, it's like the movie Angela. There's a Luc Besson film, Angel-A.
Yes, Angela.
Yeah,
Angela, yeah.
Angela or Angel-A. And it's
Yeah.
the scene at Montmartre, the church to the north part of Paris, where she's got the guardian angel's got her arm around him, Andre, the little short guy. And she says, no one's ever told you recently, I love you. So say I love you to yourself in the mirror. And he's like, I can't. So she says it. Then she disappears and he has to say it to himself. And I've got that on my suggested reading page. You can see those movie clips.
Wow. I'm so glad that you brought that movie up and that you remember that scene. Thank you. I love you for sharing that.
Well, it was 3 a.m. and I did the best I could 12, 13 years ago to roll over in bed, not go out to my living room. My cat was braver than I. Angels would wake me up. Sometimes I'd go out. My secondary fallback would be to put the TV on MTV music videos or old black and white movies. And Angela is black and white. So I saw a couple scenes, the feather floating down by Notre Dame. And then that other scene with the mirror, and his name is Andre. That's my middle name. So I don't know what's going
My
on.
son's name, and that's my son's name.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the film, and it's 3 a.m. and I'm trying to ignore all the light and the energy in the room so I don't get a lesson or open up more. Plenty of times I paid attention, but this moment they're getting me through a black and white guardian angel film, and all of a sudden this woman, tall, lanky blonde, who's the guardian angel, says Andre, and I don't know the character's name. I sit up on my couch at 3 a.m. and I think I'm being talked to. I love you, Andre, and I'm like, what? And I'm looking around and I'm like, you can't even hide with a TV, an old film. There's no hiding from angels or whatever you're supposed to do to just open up a little bit more. Bravo, you're wonderful. Thank you. I love you.
Michael, thank you. I love you as well. And thank you. I love you to your audience as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and feel free to keep in touch with Michael about your experiences using Thank You. I love you.
Cheers.
Take care.